Joe Keery plays Gator Tillman in Fargo. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby. I want to start off by asking you, Joe, what surprised you most about entering this world of Fargo?
Um, Man, what surprised me most, I guess that I got this part was pretty surprising. I don't think it's necessarily something that on the page you'd be like, oh, that guy would maybe be good for that. So Rachel and Noah, Rachel Chenner, the casting director, and Noah Hawley, the showrunner and creator, I owe them a debt of gratitude because they took a chance on me and saw something in me, and it was just like a real joy to work with everybody on this project. And yeah, so it was a surprise, but man, I feel very thankful and happy that I got the opportunity because I feel like I really got to learn a lot about myself as an actor, about the process of movie making and making TV, and yeah, it was amazing.
What was something you learned about playing Gator?
Whatever the amount of risk you think you should be able to take, I guess, double that is the lesson that I learned. And that it's important to allow yourself to really swing big and fail. And the earlier that you can do that, and the quicker you can get to that realization on a job, as uncomfortable as it may be, surrounded by people who you respect, I think that in those moments are where things can really start to happen, and you can really discover a lot more about the character and maybe about where you and the character kind of combine and things that you can kind of take from your own life. So I think like getting dirty, and yeah, I really enjoyed that, and the scene partners. I was so blessed with amazing scene partners, and you know, the way that this show is shot is obviously unbelievable. And yeah, that was a great lesson for me, and something that I really hope to take to other things.
Yeah, you don't need to tell us where you failed, but can you think of a moment where you swang big in this season?
Yeah, I feel like we actually shot the scene where I am on the bucket with Sam twice.
Yeah.
Shot that whole sequence once, and then we actually reshot it for a couple different reasons. And the second time we did that scene, I was like, well, okay, well, we've got that version, so let's kind of go crazy here and do something a little bit different. So yeah, that was a good example, but it's little battles every day, I think, about getting out of your own way and trying to um be true to the character's wants and desires, whatever
Mm.
that may be, and just trying to get out of your own way.
Yeah, and like speaking about the characters' sort of wants and desires, who was sort of Gator to you, and how did he resonate with you as an actor?
Well, I think like as an audience member, I always really like when there are kind of things that make you kind of understand a character kind of immediately. So for me, the way in at least was like the kind of the physical stuff, and like the haircut, like the things, and like the sunglasses, and the all the props, and he's this guy that has this shell, and he's created this facade about who he thinks he is and who he wants the world to see him as. And then what it real I guess it's really a question of nature versus nurture, and is this man really this thing, or if he was taken out of these circumstances, would he have maybe stood a chance of developing a stronger moral compass and just a code of right and wrong? And would the sense of entitlement that he feels maybe have been diminished if he wasn't just constantly seeking approval from his father, and had no strong female relationship in his life. Um, and I come from a very, very different background. So there was something that I feel like I got to bring to the character, maybe that was kind of different. So yeah, I guess it was about combining kind of this thing that you're reading on the page with my own life and my own experience, and trying to find this middle ground. It was such a fun challenge, and it was a real challenge though. It was difficult because you're in Calgary, and you're I mean, Calgary's a great city, but you're just away from your life and your family and your friends, and you're here and you're working on this thing, and it felt like a real, just felt like a, I've been safe and I've been working on Stranger Things, and I've been really so blessed with that experience, and this really felt like a departure for me, to come and work on this kind of established show where the tone is very clear and kind of I'm incorporating myself into this world. So it felt like a real, yeah, cool moment for me at the time. And although it was a lot of work, I do look back super fondly on all the relationships that, I was able to make during that time.
Yeah. And what was important to you in what you portrayed, in how you portrayed Gator?
I think it's just really important. I thought that he is so unaware of how desperate and pathetic he comes off as. I think that was really important for me.
Yeah.
And um yeah,
Yeah.
somebody who's just so unaware of how they come off.
Mm. It, towards the end of the series, Roy says to Gator, if there ever was a purpose to you, now it's gone. Um, I feel like all the characters in Fargo, despite what Roy said there, all the characters in Fargo do have a purpose and something they're bringing to this story. It's like so rich in themes and so rich in sort of the way the characters interact. What do you think Gator's purpose was to the story?
Hmm. I think this season is about debt, I really think.
Mm,
Like there's that one episode where actually is about debt, but then I also think about spiritual debt with Munch's character, and the debt that a father owes a son, and the debt that a son owes a father. And Yeah, I think that was really, I felt like that was my purpose, was to explore the father and the son relationship, and um, what it means to disappoint someone, I guess,
yeah.
was a really important thing for me to explore.
Mm,
And to be, to want so badly to be what this person wants you to be, and just be so inept,
mm,
and the feeling of disappointing someone over and over again.
mm.
uh, yeah, I guess that was really the purpose of the character in some ways.
Yeah, like as an like actor and performer, like is that also something you could tap into, the fear of disappointment and maybe also the sort of like is there a danger as an actor or performer of sort of looking for approval and acceptance in the wrong places?
Yeah, definitely, I think so. But I do think a good relationship on set with the director and the other, I mean, it's a 50-50 thing. It can't just be
Yeah.
all about you, it has to
Mm,
be. But it also is a little freeing, though, in a way that, when you play somebody who has to be that way, who has to be so unaware, it is kind of, yeah, it
mm,
is kind of free, because you can take these big swings as well. But But yeah, I mean, you can think of it can be a real head game. You can think about it before it's coming to set. You can plan all these things, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen on set. And it's really about being there on set and working with these other people. So, you have this understanding of your own character, but it isn't as though I'm truly planning out everything.
yeah.
You hope on your best days that things are happening naturally too.
And you took like you talked about debt, and there's that final scene in the final episode that you have with Dot,
Yeah.
where she gives you a hug, and this sort of moment where someone who he could conceivably like he does owe a debt to in some manners of the word is sort of forgiven. And uh, how did you feel about that scene and the way where your character ended up in the show?
Yeah, I think it's a great ending. I also think that, like, he did horrible things, and he pays the price.
Mm,
Munch takes his eyes. So he he does pay his debt, and I think now it's about, you know, he's blind in this world and he's sent off. He's just sent off. And it's up to him to decide now whether he is going to continue living his life the way that he was, or if he's going to,
Mm.
change post, you know, his comeuppance, I guess you would say.
And like some of your most impactful scenes in the series are towards the end of the end of the season, and like a big chunk of your face is covered for those moments, Joe. Uh, how did you approach acting those scenes when some of your like sort of facial tools weren't able to be tapped into?
I loved those scenes. I honestly felt like that was because you cannot see. It forces you to, use other things, I guess. And you're alone. If you feel like you're alone. So,
Mm,
on this big set and you're whatever. But I don't know, there's something about it that just felt like with the facade fully down for Gator, you could finally see that he's just this child.
yeah,
And it felt like just you're like this big baby and you're this kid and you're pathetic. And like you're the last one to be picked energy, I
yeah,
guess. And it was fun to really lean into that and to yeah, to feel that way.
yeah. What do you most love about acting, Joe?
I just love the moments. I love working with directors, and I love when there's a shared conversation and there's like this language about, character. And I love getting a great note and being like, that is genius. We should, okay, yeah, how can I do this? But I think everybody's really after that moment of truth and, those moments that are revealed on set where I don't know, there is like a little bit of magic that can happen. And especially sometimes when you're those moments of enlightenment where you've worked on these lines for, weeks and weeks and weeks. For me, it takes me so long to memorize. And so sometimes you're like, is there anything left here? Have I squeezed it all out? But then you're on set and you'll be like, you'll be doing the scene and something will click in and you'll realize this is not what I thought this was about. This is about that. Or right now, this is about this for me. And it's about, I don't know, it's about when you connect to the work that way, it's, it gives me personally like a real sense of purpose in my life. And I think it's a similar thing for, you know, for music. When you feel like you're really able to tell the truth, it's a really amazing feeling. And I think that I hope that that reads, I guess, to people is like when you feel that way and you're being truly honest with yourself, or at least in the circumstances of the scene, that and you're really not thinking about anything, how you look, you're not thinking about this, you're not thinking about anything, then that's the moments that people I think can really like they can see, you can see it and you can sense it. So that's what I'm after, are those moments.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, with your music career, where you're under the name Joe for that, like,
Mhm.
is that a separate creative outlet than your acting completely, or do they serve each other? Does your music sort of make you a better actor, and your acting make you a better musician? Like, do they serve each other, or are they separate?
I think yeah, it's impossible probably to totally disconnect them. And there it's a different thing, but and I serve kind of like a different role in that. I'm obviously in charge of a lot more. I'm writing the lyrics and the melody and the music and putting an album together. This is like, I'm just sort of one piece of a big ensemble, and I'm really the performer in that. And so they do serve each other in kind of two different ways, but I'm constantly, if I'm on working on Stranger Things, it's, we'll have a couple off days, write some songs or what have you, whatnot. Sometimes I'll be working on music and then I'll see this movie and be like, oh my gosh, that would really make like either the music in the movie or maybe a visual remind me of something. So I feel like for most creative people, it's all sort of, linked. And generally, like, obviously, it's very inspiring as an actor to watch another performer and watch someone do a scene, but I feel like I'm more often inspired by, something completely ridiculous, like, I don't know. Yeah, like an album or some piece of art or a documentary or something. So, yeah. But you're all after the same thing, is just like telling the truth, I think.
Yeah. You like also on Stranger Things you've played Steve for a number of years. The final seasons is due out, so I think sometimes next year or something. And he's had a great journey and arc himself, Steve, from sort of bully to ice cream scooper to, lovable like member of the gang. D what has Steve taught you playing him for so many years?
I don't know if I'm going to totally know the answer to that until it's over, actually. I mean, I've obviously throughout, it's been an education in what it means to be an actor, and the scale of the show starting so small and growing so large. I've seen like a real gradient of, all sorts of different, stunts and scenes and action. It just like I've gotten a real taste of so many different things and worked with a lot of different people. And um, yeah, but I probably won't know until it's over. It's hard for me to have, I think, any real sort of perspective because I'm still kind of in it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Steve moment from the series?
Oh man, hard. I mean, hard to choose. I really loved last season I got to do all this underwater work. That was
Mm.
incredible, and like what a privilege that was to be able to do that. But then, I mean, everybody I well, I guess I can't say that. Working with all the other actors
Yeah.
most. Yeah,
Yeah.
just it's like a fun
Ha-
gang and they're
Have
good
you
people.
become more like Steve as you've
No,
played him?
I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me and
Yeah.
him, part of him and me for sure. And when you're working on something for so long, it is like a part of your life. But um, I don't know. The older I get, Steve is really connected, and like that when I first got that job, I was 24, so it was a long time ago, and that's really where the character is rooted. And
Yeah.
so as time has gone by, it is, I'm getting further and further away from that. So it is sort of like a long goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Did you have a favorite moment shooting Fargo or something just really fun to do?
Oh man. I feel like I got to do some really fun stuff with Lamorne. Me and Lamorne got to do some great scenes. I loved working with him. I really also loved working, honestly, that scene with Sam in the ice shed. That was a really fun scene. Um, and then working with John and Sam at the end, and also with Juno when I kind of go in where she's, inside the barn, and I get to go in. That was such a fun day. Um, yeah, hard to pick one moment, but yeah, it's so sad that that show's over.
Yeah. What was for you the power of this the maybe not it doesn't have to be just about Gator, but what did you think was sort of special about the story Fargo told this season?
What I thought was the best part about this show
Yeah.
was I think the final scene.
Yeah.
It kind of brings like the absurdity of Fargo, Sam's character coming to the door, and you're like, oh my God, after all this, what's going on? But at the end of the day, it's about like forgiveness.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the first one to extend the olive branch. And I thought that was so, because it's also a relevant show to, it takes place so recently too.
Mm.
And I think that that's what we kind of need right now is some hands across the aisle, shaking hands, and people to just, kind of come together and to have that be kind of the message that's left
Mm.
is a great message. So I was very happy. I remember reading the scene, I was like, what the hell? How is this is what a crazy way to end the show. But watching it was like perfect.
And I think that scene with Gator and Dot sort of tease it up really nicely
Yeah,
thematically. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah.
Noah, man, he is amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, Joe, thanks so much for chatting with us today. All the
Gotcha.
best of luck for the Emmy Awards. That'll be really cool to see. And people who watch the Emmy Awards or love the TV, Fargo, Strange Things, all that stuff can go to goldderby.com to follow the awards and get involved in the discussion. Joe, this has been such a fun chat. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.